So, as my name is Darrell, in chasing traffic, being a victim of human trafficking and chasing for bloodline, I found some disturbing things. And one of the things I found was that it is true that African Americans and the children of color came from royalty. Their heritage, their history was stolen. We found that nine Knight Templar had assisted Pope Francis in sneaking up on the royal family and killing them using women to seduce them, and killed their king. Upon working for them, they used the delegation team, and the delegation team wind up causing them to sign documentations as they were in hostage to kill them. So they signed documentation over, retrieved illegal documentation from the royal family, which African American is the prime stone, along with the baby Jamaica. And what they did was they caused them to sign signatures stating that the royal families now, nine Templar, Pope Francis, was matriarch and patriarch family members to them. They caused them to sign signatures stating that they were related to them. Then the Muslims, in which are the real Jews, they're related to African American and the 12 tribes children. What happened is they assumed succession documents that they were related, and those that are Jewish people now and those that are running the United States government, they assumed a false identity. Then they went to Egypt and asked Egypt to borrow the alphabets. They borrowed the alphabets and gave us those names. So they maintained stolen documents that we were related to them, and they also borrowed money to come here and work business on the land that did not belong to them but belonged to the family members of African Americans. And this is what caused the upheaval: operating business with falsified documents and treason, and having to poison and kill African Americans away, follow the bloodline to kill them, and to maintain the stolen belongings in which Pope Francis and nine Templar testified. We found that Thomas More, which is a white judge dealing with England, alleged that he was a Moor, but it was clear that he was white and the Moors were black people before they went into slavery. And that's where we found the beginning proof of identity theft and infringement, and which is what led to the reason that African Americans are dying today because of this stolen identity. It's the reason why Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King, Kobe Bryant, Whitney Houston, DMX, and all of the leaders, Dr. Sebi, Ali, Cicely Tyson, Aretha Franklin, and many of others died. They were killing them for their Social Security back benefits and to pay off debts that were owed to those that helped them set up a treason upon African American and dress themselves in the royalty. We found that Queen Elizabeth, we found that Charles, we found that Pope Francis and Japan had concocted documents stating that they were united. United mean related. They were saviors. Saviors mean forest and the island of, and savior means that I'm your leader and I'm your boss. So when they had a saying that he was the savior and all of those things, those were words called partmentia, P-A-R-T-M-A-N-T-E-A-U, that against our knowledge was giving those that stole succession right documents from African American. It gave them the false pretense and signatures that we were related. In order for them to come on the land here, they had to show proof that they were related. So they bludgeoned it out of our ancestors' hands. So to maintain it and to pay this money back, and the promise to dismiss of all African American and all African American and children of color, they had to kill it away. And that's what brought us here with the disease, the pestilence, and the things that killed African Americans. This here are the people that involved in that infringement. And then it went further than that. It went to all of these names here are who've been killing African Americans for quite some time, cashing in on the Social Security number and the alphabet that pinned a slave master to a slave. So these are all the names here that killed them. These are all the names that carry falsified succession documents alleging that they are related to African Americans, and it gave themselves false right to kill them and operate business. Everyone that you see on this list are fugitives and murderers and practice an occult, and or were forced by people like Sun Pharmaceutical and Knight Templar that to practice that form of things. And these are the things you had. Kobe Bryant, Michael Jackson, Prince, DMX, Whitney Houston, they all died. And these are some of the things that they laced the system with to keep killing the people to maintain their benefits. Currently here today, you have blood in your water, you have chemicals in the food, it's called vitamin A chemical, you have poison at the tip of the cigarettes, and if you read all of these are the things that are killing you today, despite of the things that they're telling you about asthma, to get back to the home and the solid foundation stolen from African Americans, and which is not really their names. When you mix African with American, it gave a false succession rights to the Americans, which were the Assyrians who helped 9 Templar to kill African Americans. But by the grace of God, they still have bloodline proof that African American came from royalty. And all the oil in the world, the gold reserves, the money that was stashed in outer space by James Webber, and the billions of trillions of dollars we found stashed under the ocean, these are the people that corroborated that form of wickedness, and these are the poison they use to maintain it, which eventually is going to destroy the whole entire planet. So I'm grateful that I get a chance today to begin to tell the people of what I saw in human trafficking, shot with a needle, waking up from the dead, realizing that my blood carried royalty, and African Americans were not solely African American named Jacobson. Jacob was a settler that went from place to place. Mark, Luke, Matthew, Theophilus, they were settlers and exhibitionists who were sent to assume our true identity, our forefathers' identity, and they wrote themselves in the book to control the tribe. So when they say Jacob's children, that's not his children's name. Jacob was the person that killed the original person and put his name over that tribe when Jacob was a liar and a thief, and he's the one that made them sign succession document that Jacob was related to me and you. And now all of those names we found in the oppressor. Look, Sir Carl McLean and Elizabeth, when we looked at Elizabeth documents carried the names of those that had robbed, and Elizabeth had the Jacobson document, so she knows the white Jacobson that switched his name with the original one to say that he's the father, and he's on her documents giving her succession rights to say that Elizabeth is related to me and you. So Jacobson was a liar and a thief, and he passed the documents to Thomas More, and on Thomas More documents it has Queen Elizabeth's name. So all these thieves kept recertifying succession right documentation that they were related to African Americans. So in the United States government at this present point in time, they're operating off of a false badge that they stole from your family members that gave them the right to run business on the land and gave them the right to form a police force and a bounty hunter force, and it gave them the right to say that they were related to us to continue operating business. It was a fraud, a fugitive, an infringement, and a biased document that now the world knows how they concocted those documents. And the true children of royalty, Knight Templar told it. He said that they weren't royal people at all. We killed them, and when we killed them, we gave Queen Elizabeth their belongings, and they dressed up in their stuff, and we wrote fake documents that Queen Elizabeth and Charles were related to what they call now African Americans. They are the true royal children, and the United States government is illegally operating off of their documents. And that's what we're gonna close off with today. As you share this information, we'll get into the name of all of those people, the different departments they work in, we found today. Oh, and the last thing I want to share with you is real quick is the artist. Okay, here we go. So this is very important. All of these artists, the wicked from government with the false succession right, they gave each and every artist right here contracts that tricked them, and it made them sign over their rights. It gave them children's contracts. It took their social security number and gave it to the owners of all of their businesses, the NBA, the music industry, the R&B industry, and then they went to Canada and asked Canada to use the Army, MK7, and other places to watch them and make sure that they don't run. So they were under hostage. They were raping the artists, raping their children, feeding their children feces, robbing the artists, making them drink blood, raping the babies. And you have people like Zuckerberg, Carl McLean, and all those names. Every name that you see on these papers, they're in a group. Stan Lee, you have Macron, you have Donald Trump, Joe Biden. They're all with a group of people that abuse these artists every day, and they're the ones that send the artists to poison our water and our food, and they're forced to do it. So when Tupac, Biggie Smalls, and Michael Jackson said, we don't want to poison the water anymore, we don't want to be in a contract, they killed them for it, and that's how they kept dying. So the artists, we have to pay attention to the rap artists, the singers, the Grammy winners, and all of those people, because they're being raped, their children are being raped, their children are being sodomized, and they're being forced to come out and poison the water that killed me and your grandmother. And the shootout on the corner, they're the ones that set those things up that killed our people. They don't want to do it, they're held hostage. When we saw them with bodyguards, they weren't bodyguards, they were human trafficking agencies making sure they don't run. So when you saw Beyonce waving Jay-Z and 50 Cent and all those people, you thought they were bodyguards, they weren't bodyguards. They were screaming for help out of the clutches of a system that were operating off of our ancestral documents. So when we start to share these information and put a name to a face, all of their names are on these documents. As you read through it, find them, pull up their picture, pull up their children's picture, pull up their family picture, find out where they go, where they travel, what airport that they're working in, who gives them their checks, so you have a relationship with who was going to destroy humanity. I'm done.